Welcome to Jambo Safari Media. You are watching Jambo News with me, Tracy Wamboy. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines. Putin agrees to limited ceasefire in Ukraine, rejects full truce after talks with Trump. UK visa scam leaves migrant workers from Kerala in financial ruin. Nigerian senator suspended after accusing Senate president of sexual harassment. Israel resumes intense airstrikes on Gaza. Netanyahu warns of escalating conflict. Well, ever had hopes of getting a well-paying job? And just when you thought you had it, it turns out you didn't. Well, that's exactly what hundreds of migrant care workers from India, Kerala are dealing with right now. Welcome to the UK visa scam. Well, where promises of a better life have turned into a financial disaster. Well, stick with us for the details. Aaron George is just one of the many who thought a better life was within reach after paying €15,000 to secure a care worker job in the UK. But when he and his wife arrived, there was no job, just empty promises and excuses. After being pressured into unpaid training, his wife only worked 3 days before they were forced to return to Kerala in financial ruin. Sadly, Aaron's story is far from unique. Hundreds of families from Kerala have been lured by false promises of stable jobs and a brighter future in the UK. They paid agents and care homes large sums only to find out that the work they were promised didn't exist. Victims like Sridevi are still stuck in the UK, struggling to survive on charity, while others are drowning in debt from loans they took out to cover the costs. Many were promised long-term jobs and family reunification, but instead, they have been exploited, working under terrible conditions for far less than they were promised. And even though the UK government has cracked down on these schemes by tightening visa rules, justice for the victims remains difficult to pursue. The cross-border nature of these scams and the lack of affordable legal recourse means most victims are left powerless, their dreams dashed and savings gone. While the UK is making efforts to prevent future exploitation, it's clear that for those already affected, the damage is done. Well, hundreds of families are left facing a future far different from the one they envisioned, and justice for them remains uncertain. Imagine being in a place where speaking up could cost you your career, your safety, and your voice. Well, for one Nigerian senator, that's the harsh reality of Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. After accusing Senator President Godswill Akpabio of sexual harassment, has been suspended, raising eyebrows across the country. Is the Nigerian Senate a place for democracy or something else? Let's find out. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, a member of Nigeria's opposition People's Democratic Party, recently accused Senator President Godswill Akpabio of sexual harassment, an accusation he vehemently denies. Akpoti-Uduaghan claimed that the harassment began in 2023 during a visit to Akpabio's country home. She alleges that Akpabio made suggestive comments and inappropriate physical advances. In response to these allegations, Akpoti-Uduaghan was suspended from the Senate for 6 months, accused of unruly and disruptive behavior. As part of her suspension, she lost her security detail, raising serious concerns about her safety, particularly given Nigeria's history of violence against political figures. Akpoti-Uduaghan, one of just 4 women in 109-member Senate, described the Nigerian Senate as a cult, claiming that dissent is punished and free speech is stifled. Her suspension has sparked outrage, with many civil society groups and women's rights organizations calling for a thorough and transparent investigation. This case highlights the ongoing struggles of women in Nigerian politics, where power dynamics often silence those who challenge the status quo. Akpoti-Uduaghan, who has faced personal and professional setbacks in the past, continues to stand firm in her pursuit of justice despite the emotional toll. Well, Akpoti Odugan's battle is not just about one woman's fight for justice. It's about the wider fight of equality, freedom of speech, and safety for women in Nigerian politics. Well, as her legal action continues, the nation is watching closely to see if her courage will lead to change so many are calling for. Israel has resumed full-force military strikes on Gaza, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that this is only the beginning, with over 400 reported dead and hundreds more injured. What does this escalation mean for the future of the conflict? Well, let's look at the details. Israel has launched a new wave of airstrikes on Gaza, the heaviest since a ceasefire began in January. Prime Minister Netanyahu warned this would be just the beginning as the military targets Hamas positions.
Israel will win. We will bring our people home and we will destroy Hamas. We will not relent until we achieve all these vital goals.
The strikes have killed at least 400 people and injured hundreds more, according to Gaza Health Ministry. Netanyahu defended the attacks, stating that Israel's objectives remain to return hostages and eliminate Hamas. Key Hamas figures, including a high-ranking security official, were reportedly killed in the airstrikes. This escalation follows stalled negotiations over a ceasefire agreement that would have allowed for more hostages to be released. The attacks have left hospitals in Gaza overwhelmed, while international criticism grows, particularly from Egypt, which called the airstrike a violation of the ceasefire. Meanwhile, hostages' families in Israel are increasingly frustrated, with some accusing the government of abandoning efforts to secure their release. Well, as violence escalates, the prospect for a lasting ceasefire grows more uncertain. Both sides remain firm in their positions and the human cost continues to mount. We'll keep you updated. President Vladimir Putin has agreed to a limited ceasefire in Ukraine, but rejected to a full truce after a high-stakes call with the US President Donald Trump. While energy infrastructure attacks with halt, a comprehensive ceasefire remains out of reach. Well, here's the latest on the ongoing negotiations. After a phone call between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, a temporary halt to attacks on Ukraine energy infrastructure was agreed. However, Putin refused to sign up for the full ceasefire deal previously negotiated by the US and Ukraine. He stated that a comprehensive truce would only be possible if foreign military aid to Ukraine stopped, a condition that Kyiv and its Europe allies have firmly rejected. The ceasefire would have covered land, air, and sea, but Putin's term shifted the focus to energy infrastructure. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed caution openness to this limited pause by condemned Russia's continued attacks on civilian targets, including a hospital and power supplies. While Trump called the conversations productive, the specifics of the full ceasefire plan remain in limbo, with the US and Russia now working on technical-level discussions towards a broader resolution. Despite some progress on halting energy strikes, President Putin's rejection of a full ceasefire raises concerns about the future of peace talks. Well, as negotiations continue, the path to a lasting peace in Ukraine remains uncertain. Thank you for tuning in to Jambo Safari Media. This was Jambo News. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And remember, we are just a click away.